The act Monologues. Face Across a Room by Mike Berry. Performed by Christine Haggar.
It's been a long day. There is nothing quite like taking off a pair of new shoes at the end of a long day. And this day started 12 years ago, the last time I saw my son. It all started over such a trivial thing. I guess it always does. David's girlfriend at the time, to become his wife, had stayed over and spilled some sugar on the kitchen table. All I said was that it was a pity that Rachel couldn't clean up after her like any normal person would. I think I even said it under my breath, but David heard and, well, he went off on one. Why did I always do this? Why did I not like Rachel? Why did I have to find fault in everything that she did? Why did I never have a nice word to say about her? Why had I never had a nice word to say about any of his girlfriends? And by the way, Rachel was special, so I'd better keep my wicked thoughts to myself in future, or else. In my own kitchen? David had never ever spoken to me like that, and I was having none of it. It wasn't that I didn't like Rachel, or the others. Not that there had been many others. David had always been a quiet boy, ever since he was old enough to sit straight on his mother's lap. I wouldn't say timid, perhaps easily led. He used to go off to play with his so-called friends, but when it got dark, they would run off and leave him to find his own way home. He always said he was fine and didn't mind, but I was his mother, and I knew better. Yes, easily led, first by the boys and then by the girls. How else could he have gone with that Stacy, his first girlfriend? Well, the first he brought home. He could do so much better, I thought, and I told him. That was our first row. When she left him, Ricky from the chip shop, I said that was for the best, but he said to me, quite sternly, how could I possibly know that? And off he went, sobbing up the stairs. I didn't get to meet Eve or Lindsay or Jane. He'd mention them in passing, usually when I'd ask him where he was going of an evening. I didn't like him going out all the time. His father had left us when he was 2, and I hadn't the time or inclination to walk out with anyone else. So the evenings were lonely and long, as I stayed up to hear him come home. 2 or 3 in the morning sometimes. I'd call out from the kitchen, "Did you have a nice evening?" He rarely replied. And then came Rachel, Miss High and Mighty, 5'4", yet always looking down at me. It was as if David had said something about me that she didn't like and couldn't forget. Like the taste of Marmite. Not high and mighty enough for my David, I thought, and certainly not one to tidy up after herself. I said to David, "Don't you talk to me like that. I'm your mother. I've given everything for you, and this is what I get in return." Everything, he asked somewhat angrily. Everything to try to make up for taking away the one thing that he had always wanted, his father. I did not take him away, I shouted. He left! Not according to David. I drove him out with my constant whining and complaining and overbearing controlling. I gathered myself. I gave myself a moment, and I said in a calm tone that Rachel had filled his head with nonsense and that she was no longer welcome in my house. David didn't even reply. He turned away from me and went to his room. I stayed in the kitchen. Half an hour later, I heard them both coming down the stairs. I heard the front door open and then slammed behind them. 12 years ago. 12 years of Christmases, birthdays, a wedding I wasn't invited to, a grandson I've never seen, even a divorce I only heard about from Ricky at the chip shop. What happened, happened. What will be, as they say. Today was the day of the local Conservative Association cheese and wine party, a regular treat, and, yes, I jest, I don't hold any particularly strong political views, but they do very good lunches at the club on a Saturday, so I joined with my friend Cassandra. She said I might meet someone there, but I've settled for the food. It was very full this evening, the first since the last election, and everyone was in a celebratory mood. Cassandra was most odd, though, very white in the face when I arrived, as if she'd seen a ghost. Everyone else was red in the cheeks because it was warm and crowded, and I asked Cassandra if she was all right and would she like to sit down. She said she needed a glass of water, and before I could offer to fetch, she turned and rushed away. I sipped my wine and looked up to see where the poor thing had gone. I put myself on tiptoes to peer over the local mayor, and then I saw him amongst all those people. To all those people, just a face in the crowd. But I didn't have to look twice to recognise David. And there he was, looking straight back towards me. I froze. I didn't know what to do. I was overcome with 12 years of hope. I was paralysed with fear that he would turn his back on me and run upstairs to his room. Time stopped, our eyes fixed on each other. He started walking towards me. I found myself walking towards him. What did I see in his face? Did I see anger, resentment, hatred? Did I see... And there he was, standing in front of me. "Mum," he said. Just that. He was crying. I was crying. He put out his arms and I fell into them. And sorry was too short a word, so we kept saying it, time and time again. And tomorrow I shall meet my grandson, and I shall cradle him, and I shall never let go, except to hug my son again. It's been a long and wonderful day.